absolute horror show of fixtures. Feels like a must-win for Bruno. I think he has to get this right. I think if he loses that game and then loses City and Liverpool, I think he's gone. I wouldn't, and I would sack him. If you lose 3 in a row, I think you have to. And I think this is a big game for Bruno. I think the lineup kind of picks itself really going with a 4-2-3-1. I was very surprised in doing it against Bournemouth. Look, I wasn't expecting us to go and slap Bournemouth. A lot of people were expecting us to go slap them and go, oh, they lost 9-0. Like, whenever a team loses a manager, they always part of the bus. They always put 5-4-1, and it's hard to break that down, and I appreciate that. And to be fair, Raul Jimenez missed a big chance. Pedence missed a big chance. I'm not going to blame it all on Bruno, but ultimately Wolves, whether you like it or not, we are in the bottom 3 now. And I think this Southampton game is the first game, I think, at all the runs so far where there's no context against Bruno. Obviously, deadline day will be done by then. He'll have his squad. And I think when you look for every result, right, obviously Leeds on the opening day, we didn't have a bench. Fulham, again, we hadn't really got the players in. Then Tottenham was the first game where it felt like we really had a proper 11, bar a striker. Tottenham's a good team. I thought we actually played all right against Tottenham. The Newcastle game, that's just a freak show from Hwang. And if he doesn't do that, and say Maximin scores a 1 in a million shot, then we win that game and everyone says it's a good performance. And then obviously the Bournemouth game, they just sat their manager. So I think you can kind of try and make excuses for every single one of those non-wins. Whereas this Southampton game for me, look, I rate Southampton. They've done well this season. I kind of backed them before the start of the season. I like Southampton. I think they're a well-run club under their new owners. But I think the lineup picks itself. I was stunned he didn't pick Aït-Nouri against Bournemouth. Like, when the lineup came out, I understood why he kept the 4-3-3. I understood it. But not playing Aït-Nouri was mental to me. I didn't see what he was getting from Johnny. Bournemouth have no pace. They weren't trying to attack. We were obviously going to have to break them down out wide. So not playing Aït-Nouri was bizarre. Like, it made zero sense. I understand why he would have done it against Newcastle because of Alassane Maximin. But Newcastle, what Bournemouth had Zamora. I don't know who that guy is. Like, there was no threat from Bournemouth, and Johnny constantly is coming inside, and that's fine against Southampton, for example. But when you're playing against Bournemouth and they're trying to funnel you inside because that's where all their bodies are, you want to play players out wide. It's why I don't get why he played inverted. Like, Pedro Neto's constantly coming inside, and that's his game, obviously, when you play him on the right. But there's so many players in this middle zone that I didn't get why he didn't just put him on the left. It was honestly Bruno's lineup in that game was bizarre. I just didn't get it. Look, also we did dominate the game, and we should have won if Raul Jimenez could actually just score a 1-on-1, and then we win that game, and everyone calls Bruno a genius. But this lineup picks itself for me. Kalajdzic has to start. I don't care what anyone says. I like Raul Jimenez, but this is a Southampton side that in the Premier League so far, they're bottom for aerial duels 1, and they've lost the most aerial duels in the league so far. Like, I'm sorry, but look, I like Belek, I like Salisu, and I like Bazunu, but they're all very young centre-back / goalkeeper. None of them are like physically, they're all physically strong, obviously, but I think Kalajdzic is a lot taller than all those guys. Kalajdzic is an experienced guy. Kalajdzic isn't Fabio Silva. He's 25. He's about to come into his prime. You're playing against Southampton that aren't particularly dominant in the air. I don't get why you wouldn't play Kalajdzic. I think it sends a really bad message if you start Raul Jimenez after that game. I think if you bring in Kalajdzic, if he's shit, no one really cares because it's his first game. He's only been here for a few days. And if he's good, then it kind of sends Raul Jimenez the right message. I would play Pedro Neto on the left. If you're going to play Kalajdzic, I think it makes sense to put crosses in. And you have to play Pedence. Like, Pedence irritates me to the nth degree. He really does irritate. I love Pedence, but he does really irritate me. But whenever Pedence does get the ball, I do trust him to do something. Whereas when Pedro Neto and Guedes get the ball right now, it just feels like they never take on their man. Or at least not a lot. And it feels like they're just going to come inside. At least with Pedence in that 10 role, I feel like there's a hope we're going to create something. Obviously, Nunes and Neves play. As I'm recording this, it's deadline day, and Dendonk just left. So we only have 3 midfielders, so I would play midfield 2, just so at least you have Moutinho to come on. I want Nunes on the left as well. I know this doesn't really mean anything, but against Bournemouth and the game before, I don't get why Nunes keeps playing on the right of a midfield 3. If you've got your ball-carrying midfielder, you want them on their other side. At least me, anyway. Nunes is the guy that's played on the left side of a midfield for his whole career at Sporting. And if you want... Look, I know this might sound like a dumb thing to say, but if you've got a ball carrier and they're right-footed, I feel like you want them being... If you put them on the right, then they can't really cut inside because they're cutting in on their weaker foot. I feel like you want them cutting in on their stronger foot. Maybe that's just me. And then I think Aït-Nouri picks himself. Look, Southampton are a decent side. Obviously, they press pretty well. They've got the most second best for successful pressures and second for the number of pressures that work. And we have struggled against those sort of sides before. And it's just still concerned me that Wolves are having shots from 19 yards away. Like against Bournemouth, the thing that really irritated me against Bournemouth was we got a corner, which, by the way, hopefully Klajic will actually mean we take some proper corners. But I think Nuri is. I knew he's a really good corner taker. But the thing that annoyed me against Bournemouth the most was when we had a corner, and I think it was Jan Moutinho dinked it to Ruben Neves on the edge of the box to do this ridiculous volley that was never going in. And I'm like, are we that desperate? Like, I know Ruben Neves will score a volley every so often, or he will score from outside the box every so often, but that's not a sustainable route to goal. And to me, it just feels like right now, every other side in the Premier League, you kind of get their route to goal, even if it doesn't always work out. With Wolves, I don't really think we have a sustainable route to goal yet, and just relying on Ruben Neves banging in shots. Like, with this lineup, at least you can go, okay, Podence's your creative guy in the middle. He can feed some stuff through. And if you have Neves and Guedes on the right, hopefully they beat their man, get to the edge and put it in for Klajic. That makes sense. I can kind of understand it. Whereas playing the inverted wingers with Raul and a midfield three, I just don't see where any creativity comes from. This is a big game against Southampton. It feels like we have to win it, not draw, win. If you win it, then all of a sudden it's 5 points out of 9. You drew a game that you probably should have won against Newcastle. You could maybe blame Raul Jimenez for the Bournemouth draw. And then if you beat Southampton, it's 5 points out of 9. It's a win. It's 3 unbeaten. Then all of a sudden you kind of just go into a Liverpool who aren't on great form themselves and you go, you know what, fuck it. Let's just go at it and see what happens. But yeah, I would be stunned if Bruno doesn't pick this 11. Even if it is with Raul up front, I think you have to pay Podence. But that's just my thoughts. Enjoy the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, peace.